Alright, this is going to be an off-the-cuff, audio-only talk. Today is pretty much my second last day here in Thailand. I'll be flying home Wednesday morning, early in the morning, 8 o'clock flight back to Australia. Just wanted to, discuss my thoughts, my feelings, where my headspace is at the moment. My last couple of days in Pattaya. So, I don't know, it's just like I see things really clearly about what's going on back home as well as what goes on over here in Thailand. But, I keep thinking about business and the business of marriage, the business of traditionalism versus the business of making men feel good. I mean, over here in Thailand, the bar girls are in the business of selling sex, selling companionship, and a degree of love and respect, dignity, kindness. They're in the business of making men feel great. They're in the business of making men happy. The business of pleasure. That's how they make their money. They make their money through men's penises. How does that differ from back home? So let's think about back home, what the deal is in traditional relationships. Man meets woman, and the majority of women, they're interested in monogamy, security, home, family, mortgage, children, and turning you into a utility for the rest of your life. And I guess it's your job as a man engaging in traditionalism to offer the woman financial security, to offer the woman your time, your labour, and your entire being, to lay down your life for her benefit, which is really against your own best interests. So traditionalist women, wives, women interested in getting married, they're in the business of traditionalism, the business of marriage, the business of turning men into providers for their own benefit and the benefit of their children. Marriage is a business, and by engaging in marriage as a man, you'll be halving your rights and at least doubling your responsibilities. You're basically giving up half of corporation you by engaging in this risky business. It just seems so clear when I view things from here in Pattaya, Thailand. So very, very clear. Here we can have our sexual needs met by a variety of young, willing, beautiful bar girls, whether we're going with genetic women or lady boys. We're going for their beauty. We're going for the variety. We're satisfying our male needs for variety and needs for younger partners, and it feels great to be over here and engaging in that kind of behaviour. Let's be sure, it does feel great. And I guess the irony is that us men, we tend to get married because we think, all right, well, I can lock in this sex partner, I can lock in this woman, and I can have great sex for the rest of my life with her. But it doesn't work out that way, and that's one of the great lessons over here in Pattaya. Every time you go with the same sexual partner, the intensity of the feelings, they go down. It's a slow downhill slide. The first couple of times with one partner, it feels amazing. I mean, it's just euphoric. But over time, it doesn't get better. And I can see how men over here in Thailand get themselves into all sorts of trouble because, again, they want to lock in that sexual partner. And look, I'm the same. I mean, I've got one ladyboy partner over here who I've spent a lot of my trip with, and we have great feelings for one another. I've known her since 2012, and whilst I engaged sexually with other people whilst I was over here, I had a number of different partners, and as well as a new partner who I hadn't met before I came over here. I can see, think about the deal. We come over here as men, we shack up with a woman or a lady boy, we're the person earning more money, But if we buy a condo, or if we get ourselves into a living situation with one of these people, what is our role? Our role is resource provider. We're the ones who are offering up money, time, labour, our utility value. So it's a similar deal to back in the West if we get into a committed relationship. So many landmines amongst the journey, I guess, along this journey, how to successfully cross the landmine without getting our legs blown off. And it's just as hard, if not harder. It's more complex over here in Thailand. As a Farang, you're seen as the rich person. You're the one who is more worldly. You've got high level of education and experience, and you're the one who has to be in charge over here when it comes to the interactions with the women or the lady boys. I still have difficulty trying to understand, or trying to come up with an acceptable solution on how to achieve security over here in Thailand. Now, I can see many ways to provide security to other people over here, like Ted and Tip in the documentary My Thai Bride. She ended up with all the gold and all the wealth and the money at his expense. I'm assuming he had a lot of sex along the way with her, but over time those feelings went and they diminished, and she was one who ended up richer, him poorer for the experience. How do you come over here and make sure that you have got financial security, that you're setting up so that you're the one who's going to benefit? You cannot own land here in Thailand. Investing in a condo over here, it's not going to be a good investment. So let's get that clear. You're going to be renting over here, right? So if you're renting, you need to take the money that you're not spending on a mortgage and not paying down a mortgage and invest it elsewhere. So how to do it? You come over here, you rent something that's relatively cheap, Thai style. None of this living in some Western ghetto. I'm currently living in a Western ghetto at the moment. A very nice apartment that costs over $1,000 a month, which is 30,000 baht a month. I wouldn't live like this. If I was over here full time, I would find a Thai style small townhouse or small condo, something that's cheap. Now, I was speaking to my ladyboy partner last night, and I said, well, how much does it cost for you to lease your condo over here? She said, 5,000 baht a month, right? Now, I've been to her condo. It's small, doesn't have air conditioning. It wouldn't be sufficient for my needs. I need something a little bit bigger. I've had a look at small townhouses over here and small condos that Thais rent, right? Where there's not foreigners interested in them. And I could live like that so long as I had a good air conditioner. So I need the air conditioning, good office chair, comfortable bed, and I really don't need a whole lot else. I mean, I'd have my computer, I'd set up my studio and my sort of office inside the place. I'd be okay living like that. Would I shack up with a Thai? Geez, it's tempting. It would be very tempting to shack up with this ladyboy that I've grown very, very close to. Extremely tempting. It would be so easy. But I know that it would be a mistake to do that if I came over here to do it straight away. Things happen so quickly over here. And I just don't think that would be a good idea. So how would I do it? Okay, I'd come over here, I'd get the small Thai style place. I would be seen to be living like a Thai. People wouldn't be looking at me like I'm some rich Westerner if I'm living in like a Thai does. I'd be away from a Western style comfortable condo. So there'd be no perception around me that me building some big fuck off house in the village and all of that stuff. I wouldn't be doing. I wouldn't be seen to be doing any of that. I would have an income coming from the West, from a pension. I've got a defined benefit fund. That's how I would have my income come into me over here. So, if I'm making, let's say, between 70 to 80,000 baht a month, which is, I don't know, say 3,000 Australian dollars a month, something like that from a pension, and a little bit more on say an index fund and other investments. Let's say 80,000 Thai baht a month. I'd be looking at 15,000 baht a month rent for the small townhouse. Now, it's less than 20% of my income, and my other expenses for food and water and air conditioning incidentals really wouldn't add up to all that much. Where is the money spent over here by us Westerners? Well, the money is spent on the naughty nightlife. It's spent on going out, drinking alcohol, having a different partner every night. That's where the money, that's where it all starts to add up. So long as I was over here full time and I was, say, only going out on a Friday and Saturday night, and the rest of the time I was, busy working, and I didn't have a live-in partner or girlfriend or ladyboy, I know that I could live over here comfortably. The weather's an issue. I still haven't gotten used to this extreme level of heat, this humidity. It's really difficult to work out, and I mean really difficult. I cannot work out at the same level of intensity as what I can back in the West, nor at the same level of time. It's just exhausting over here. Would I get used to it? Well, the American MGTOW, he reckons that I would, and he's probably right, but I think maybe the option is the idea is to live between both countries for the time being. But you can live very cheaply over here, but the big risks and the big money is spent when you're going to the bars. I mean, to give you an idea, a bar fine is probably about between 400 to 500 baht, and then payment to the woman or the lady boy between 1,500 to 2,000 baht. Now, those prices add up. So, if you're paying 2,500 baht every time you go out to a bar, and that's just the bar fine and the lady or the lady boy, that's like what, $100 Australian. I mean, if you're doing that every night, that adds up to big money over time. Obviously, you won't be able to do that every night. Do it once a week, you'll probably be fine. Temptation, of course, is everywhere around here. So, I mean, I think Thailand is not for the undercapitalised nor for the faint of heart. If you're going to come over here, you're going to be better off if you spend more time in the West, more time building your asset base, more time building up your assets and having your income come to you over here in Thailand. If you have a defined benefit pension scheme, or if you've got your money in index funds and you have the income come over here, that's the way to do it. Now, if you're going to, say, shack up with a woman or a ladyboy and they were interested in financial security, you could say, all right, fine, you want that arrangement, you want to risk doing that, fine. Set up yourself in a Thai-style house, in some shitty house somewhere that's affordable to the Thai. And if you look online, you can get these sorts of places for between 10 to 20,000 baht a month. Now, as a capital figure over here in Pattaya, I've seen it's around about a 7% return. So if you wanted to buy one of these sorts of places, you're looking at maybe $100,000. So, which is still quite a bit, but I mean, obviously in comparison to the Western world, it's very low. I think some of the best advice is don't invest money over here that you really need or that you cannot afford to lose. I think that's great advice. I mean, over here there are just risks everywhere. There are so many risks over here. Just coming to the country is risky. Then you go out on the street and you see the crazy way that people drive or ride the motorcycles. That's risky. Road accidents are one of the biggest causes of death over here in Thailand. Pattaya itself is risky. Suicide is a common cause of death over here. People joining the Pattaya Flying Club. jumping off their condo balcony because they've run out of money, basically, or if they've gotten themselves in a bad situation with a bar girl. Right? It's a risky place over here. It really is. And I still don't have all the answers, but I can confidently say that I have some of them. Are we better off over here as Westerners? Well, financially, obviously not. We can earn more money back in the Western world. Can we have a better life over here? Yes, absolutely we can. What's available in the hearts of the Thais, the level of respect that's accorded to us Westerners, it's good. I like it. I like being treated like that. I don't care if it's all an illusion. In comparison to the Western world and the reality that we live in with other Westerners back in the UK or Australia or the United States or the Western world, I don't like the obnoxiousness of people. I don't like the entitlement of Western women. This is at least a partial solution coming over here. And there's so many Western men over here in Thailand. We all come because we're seeking freedom. We're seeking a better life. We're sick of the bullshit. We're over here because we want what's available in the hearts of the Thais. And they give it to us. We can get that over here. If you want freedom, you can have it over here. It's different to the Western world. It's a path that I believe needs careful planning and careful execution. There are gamblers over here. Many of the people that you know in the media, or that you've heard about, you've seen in the media, Westerners who've come over here and made a name for themselves. In many ways, they have gambled everything. Right? These are not people who have, come over here with a large amount of capital from the Western world, or carefully planned out their financial future over here and have got a backstop. Some of these people have risked it all to come over here. Now, would I risk it all to come over here to Thailand to capture the feelings that's in the hearts of the Thais and the way they treat me? No, I wouldn't. Not until I was financially secure enough to come over here and have a backstop. So if the shit hit the fan and things went wrong, bang, I can get on a plane and I can get the fuck out of here. That's the way that I would do it. So these are sort of my thoughts on my last couple of days here in Pattaya. I feel great. I feel, going back to the Western world, I'm sort of dreading some of that because I know what's going to happen. I'll walk back into the workplace and I'll be back to being treated like a utility, back to being treated like a worker, back to a level of disrespect and a level of, you know what Westerners are like. So, and you can have, look, I've got a good job, responsible position. I'm treated well the majority of the time, but still, it's a form of subservience, right? When you're working for a corporation or you're working for a large employer, if you're working for a bureaucracy, that's the nature of the role. It's the nature of that sort of job. Coming over here to Thailand, you can set up a kingship, so to speak. Back in the Western world, most of us are working, in corporations or in large companies. We're an input into the production process. Over here, we can set up that kingship. We can be the ones on top. We can be the business owners. We can have other people working for us. But to do that is risky. To do that means we need capital. To do that over here, we need enough capital that to invest in a business that we started on the ground. And then there's the competition that we have to deal with over here. And if it all goes pear-shaped and tits up, we've got to go back to the Western world. So any of that capital that you invest over here, you have to consider it expendable. It's a high-risk venture. But I understand why Western men do it. I completely understand, because you come over here and you capture those feelings. The way the Thais treat you is just amazing, and you just want it to last forever. Living the dream. Living the dream. that's what we Westerners want. We know we can't have that back in the Western world. But the dream can easily turn into a nightmare, and you've got to look behind the smiles of some of these Westerners over here. You've got to look behind the facade that people put on when they're over here. Don't be under any illusions. This country, it's hard to make money. This country, as a Westerner, it's tough. I mean, if you open a business and you are catering towards other Westerners, even then it's tough. You really need to be very skilled in a number of different areas to succeed as an entrepreneur over here. Some of the areas that I've seen people running businesses in, bars, guest houses, and the like. I look at these sorts of businesses and I think, well, they're mini kingships, so to speak. They're not making a whole lot of money over here, but they do have that freedom, which they don't have from the Western world. In one of my other videos, I talk about being a relatively poorly paid king in Thailand, or a highly paid servant in the Western world. Now, you are better off being the highly paid servant in the Western world. You're better off financially. You're better off wealth-wise. But being a servant versus being a king, once you've been treated like a king, you don't want to go back to being treated like a servant, regardless of the price, right? So you're willing to give up money, you're willing to give up wealth, so that you can come over here and continue to be treated like a king. So I guess that says a lot about the male ego and the male psyche. Yeah, as I said, I don't have all the answers, but when I look at the deal in the Western world, I don't want to shack up with some woman over there. No, I don't want that anymore. I would seriously consider bringing a Thai back to the West, only for a very short holiday, not on a spousal visa, only on a tourist visa. I would provide a level of financial support. I would like to test those waters. It's not something that I'd be going in without my eyes wide open. But I can see the risks in that as well. I bring a beautiful young ladyboy back to the Western world, walk into a nightclub. Well, yeah, I know how that's going to go. You see the supply and demand imbalance back there. A rare and exotic flower in the Western world. Discussions I've had with bar owners over here indicates that you can make a shit ton of money back in the West with a ladyboy brothel. Interesting. I guess it says a lot about the environment back in the Western world. It really does. About the level of control that women have when it comes to relationships with us men. So yeah, these are sort of my thoughts on my last couple of days. I was in the wrong business, basically. Here I was engaging in traditionalism back in the West. I was brought up to be the provider, to get married, to have a family, have children. I was simply in the wrong business. All these years, if only I had come to Thailand sooner, and my life would have been very different. I guess the business of traditionalism, of providing support to heterosexual women, I'm now in the transsexual business, I'm in the bisexual business, I'm in the ladyboy business, I'm in the prostitution business in many ways. I stick exclusive to ladyboys, and that's where you find the majority of them working in bars and the like. I feel I've got a better understanding of ladyboys than what I do of genetic and traditional women. Well, I guess I feel that we understand our needs better. There's more of a level of equality. And in this business, us Western men and Thai ladyboys care more about each other than genetic women could ever understand. Yeah, So those are my sorts of rambling thoughts. I haven't done a lot of these sorts of audios. I put a lot of time and effort into my channel with doing structured stuff, making sure everything was scripted and written out beforehand and carefully edited before I uploaded it. So these sorts of off-the-cuff presentations are rare on my channel, but I felt that it was important to do one today. These are the sorts of feelings I've got before I go back to the Western world. I know what's coming for me. I know the feelings that are going to come up when I reach home and get back into the workplace. It's not going to be good. I'm going to experience the Pattaya come down syndrome, the Thailand blues. It's in the post, it really is. And I guess if you want the ultimate, you got to pay the ultimate price, right? It's like that line from the movie Point Break. That's very, very true. Coming over here, engaging in promiscuous sex, the feelings are incredible. You're living true to your nature as a man. It comes at the price that you go back home, and when you don't have any of that, when they want to charge $400, $500, $600 an hour for that kind of experience, it's not affordable, right? You can't engage in it unless you've got plenty of money. So you don't do anything. You can't go out to bars and nightclubs. That's just way too depressing. I won't even walk into a bar or a nightclub these days. I won't even walk in. It's just a pointless exercise. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. I will talk to you again, I guess, in the next couple of days. Let you know what's going through my mind and what I'm feeling once I get home. Till next time, gentlemen, all the best. I'm the Pretender.